Hi guys, it's Hannah and welcome back to another video. Now today's video is my April haul and it's probably one of the bigger ones I've done for a while. I have 12 books to haul for you guys. I have no excuse other than the fact that Waterstone's opened up again and I've shopped in person. So, if you've seen my TBR video, you'll know what two of these books are, so I'll quickly go over them again. We have The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. Excuse me, I have McDonald's pop, so that's why I'm burping. But yeah, this is obviously a bit of a classic, bit of a modern classic, and it has a movie again. It has a movie out, so I went shopping with Sean. He saw this, I bought it. But it follows Susie Salmon, who was murdered on the 6th of December in 1973, and obviously we follow her story from there, watching she watches her family deal with the grief of losing her. She sees her friends grow up, fall in love, and I think she follows her murderer as well, but I'm not 100%. So that's on that goes back up there. And then we have volume 2 of The Walking Dead, Miles Behind Us. This is obviously the second in the Walking Dead series, which this is the comic that inspired the TV show. I haven't seen the TV show, but I have read the first comic, obviously, that's why I'm reading the second one. But I did enjoy it. It's more contemporary than zombie, I would say. It follows everyday life in the wake of a zombie apocalypse, and we follow... I've forgotten his name. Oh, Carl. Anyway, they'll come back to me when I'm reading it. But yeah. Then we have the... I'll leave my subscription book boxes until... my books from the subscription boxes until the end. We have Hamlet by Maggie O'Farrell. This is a novel inspired by the son of a famous playwright, a boy whose life has been all but forgotten, but whose name was given to one of the most celebrated plays ever written. So this is obviously a historical fiction based on the son of Shakespeare, I'm guessing, because it's on a summer's day in 1596, a young girl in Stratford-upon-Avon takes to her bed with a sudden fever. Her twin brother Hamlet searches everywhere for help, but nobody is home. Agnes, their mother, is a mile away in the garden where she's growing some medicinal herbs, and their father is in London. And Hamlet is going to die. That's our spoiler, it says that on the back. But yeah, this cover is gorgeous. I did want the hardback, but this is pretty. So that can go there. And then we have A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmerer. This is obviously the finale to the Cursebreaker series, which is A Curse So Dark and Lonely and A Heart So Fierce and Broken. I've read the first book but not the second, so obviously I'm not going to talk about it too much for spoilers, and I'm not even going to look at the back for spoilers. But A Curse So Dark and Lonely is a Beauty and the Beast retelling featuring Harper, who is a modern girl from our world, Washington, and who is caught up in the curse and ends up falling in love with the people first and getting caught up in the politics of that world. But what makes it different, and in my opinion raises it above any other retelling that I've read. Yes, I am aware that I have a Court of Thorns and Roses just there, but I haven't read that yet. Yeah, the main character Harper has cerebral palsy, so I can't talk for that representation, but I did think it was well done in the first book. She isn't defined by that, but it is something that she struggles with, but she doesn't let it define her, and the author does a good job of not defining Harper by that disability. Then we have a short one, which admittedly is a cover by. We have House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland, and yes, this is a signed edition. I've got no idea what this is about, so I'll read the synopsis. Dark, dangerous things happen around the Hollow Sisters ever since they disappeared as children, only to reappear a month later with no memory of what had happened to them. Odd, eerie occurrences follow in their wake. When Grey, the eldest, goes missing again, Iris and Vivi are left to figure out the mystery, but they aren't the only ones looking for her. As they brush against the supernatural, Iris realises that the world that returned them 10 years ago might be calling them back, but just how much horror lies beneath the surface. So, yeah, I'm thinking that this might be like Wilder Girls by Rory Power, which I did enjoy, and the cover just gives me those vibes. If you know, you know. Then we have the next two books in Mistborn trilogy, era 1 I should say. We have The Well of Ascension and The Hero of Ages. Now with these being books 2 and 3, I'm not going to read the back for spoilers for myself. But this started in the Final Empire, which is basically a world where the bad guy won. And we follow Kelsia, who is a Mistborn, who, in this world, I'm sure you all know about the Mistborn books. They are very beloved on BookTube at the moment, for good reason. But we follow Kelsia, who is a Mistborn, which means he can ingest all these different metals and get their powers. There's one of two ways you can control this power. You can be an Elementer, where you only can control one. You have a specific metal that corresponds to a specific power, and you can only ingest that power, that metal, or you can be a Mistborn, where you can ingest all of these metals and have all of their powers. So Kelsia is trying to start a rebellion, and he has his gang. And then we also follow Vin, who is a young street urchin who finds out that she is also an Elementer, and Kelsia takes her under his wing to teach her. And I know this is Jade from JD Reads, she really rates this highly, but I've got no idea where we can go after the end of book 1, because that was quite a major twist. Well, I think it was a major twist anyway. But yep, and these are by Brandon Sanderson. Then we have my book box books. We have the Book Box Club, which sent The Supreme Lie by Geraldine McCaffrian. But this just says, Gloria lives in a world paralysed by natural disaster and dangerous lies, and suddenly she must lead it. And it has French flaps. But basically, the 15-year-old Gloria is made to Alphalia, tyrannical head of state, Madame Suprema. But the country floods, and Madame Suprema runs away, fearing that she'll be blamed for the crisis. To cover this up, obviously Gloria is made to step into her shoes and is thrust into the world of corrupt and desperate politicians. So Gloria is obviously thrust into a world she doesn't want. She's in a role that is where the odds are stacked against her, and she knows that obviously any decision that she takes, lots of the stakes are high, because obviously she could save or kill thousands of people, including her own life. I think the theme for this month for Book Box was this ravaged world, so these are both dystopian-ish, apocalyptic-ish. But then we have The Outlaws, Scarlet and Brown by Jonathan Stroud. Now I have heard of this author, but I haven't read Lockwood and Co, but that does get some good reviews. So Scarlett McCain is a shoot first, ask questions later kind of outlaw. She survives on bank heists, her wits, and she doesn't look back. But then she meets Albert Brown, who seems to be a bit of a dark horse. It's set in Britain. Lawless future Britain, populated by strange and savage beasts. Two must escape from the wilderness, and obviously they have their own pasts with their own enemies following close behind. thrilling new adventure full of breathless chases, black humour and charismatic heroes. I do like a good adventure book. And then my battery is dying, so I'll quickly run through these last two. We have the Fairy Loot book, which is absolutely stunning. I don't think the camera will pick that up, but that is blue and silver sparkles. But this is the Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubenkowski. And of course, it's signed. We have the reader letter and the exclusive dust jacket. But this follows 17-year-old Valeria, who is one of the only survivors of the freeze, which is a dark magical hold not mountain unleashed on her village. Everybody is trapped under the unbreakable sheet of ice. She's been on the run from the Tsar, who's determined to imprison her because she escaped. She's found some refuge with the Thieves Guild, doing odd jobs with her friend Alec, who's the only other person who escaped. Until Alec is murdered. Flash forward a year, Alec's alive, but he's being held against her as well. So she needs to figure out what's happening. This is inspired by Russian folklore, so I'm thinking it might be a bit of a polar fantasy, maybe. But I am getting into my Russian. Yes, I am. Yes, I am watching Shadow and Bone. Yes, I am enjoying it. Then we have the Illumicrate book, which is The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. And there's something about this cover that just gives me old school fantasy vibes. But this is a debut. Terrain is a soldier. She was stolen as a child and trained to kill for the Empire. The only loyalty to her fellow conscripts. Now she's been sent back home to try and stop a rebellion, but obviously the ties of blood and family may be stronger than what she originally thought. And Luca needs a turncoat who can sway the rebels towards peace, while she focuses on winning back her throne. So I'm thinking this is going to be a bit of a political fantasy with a female-female romance. Through assassinations and massacres, bedrooms and war rooms, Terrain and Luca will haggle over the price of a nation. So I'm thinking this might be politically based. So yeah, that's all the books I bought in April, and hopefully I can find room for them on the shelves. And May's book haul will be shorter, smaller, but it is my birthday, so I'm not holding out hope. And let me know what you've been buying and if I should read any of these sooner rather than later, and I'll speak to you in the comments. Bye.